Good morning. I am Steve Weber, and I am the host of the American Gumption morning show, broadcasting here on Spirituality Gone Wild, proudly part of the Spirituality Gone Wild network, the ever expanding and growing. We'll have details in the next week or so about some exciting things that keep happening behind the scenes. Debbie G is busy making new things happen, and magic is happening, and I'm just honored to be part of this this amazing network. Alrighty, so today is show number 71. It's Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. And I'm going to do a abbreviated show this morning. I'll probably be about 25, 30 minutes. I'm not 100% sure. We have Brandon Schaefer coming up, who will be doing his simple motivation on Tuesday. So that'll happen in just a couple minutes from now. And you know, and then, like I said, I'll get into my monologue. We don't have a guest today, but that's okay. Well, I got a special monologue prepared, and it's about a job that I had that taught me how to be in the present, how to be in the present moment. I was forced to learn to be in the present moment. Actually wasn't forced. I just realized that if I was going to make it work, that's what I had to do. So, and I did, and it was a lot of fun. So I got to kind of tell that story and why being present is so important. So that'll come up right after Brandon visits with us. Now, let me share with you what's happening in the rest of this week, and a little tease about next week, Thanksgiving week already. My goodness. So tomorrow, Wednesday, Nikki Roscoe returns to the American Gumption show. She's done a couple of different shows on crystals and Reiki, and this time we're going to get into a meditation. And so we'll talk about the practice and the art of meditating, and then she will actually do a meditation. So that will happen tomorrow. On Thursday, friend, someone I met 4 or 5 years ago, Jody Orgel Brown, and she is the author of the book, The Sun Still Shines. The Sun Still Shines. She has a couple other books, but she is really somebody who has had to have a lot of internal personal courage and to face a challenge, a physical and really an emotional challenge, and overcome it. And so she has a very inspirational story, and that will be on Thursday. And then Friday, Kristen Osley returns, our own Kristen O, one of the newest hosts here on Spirituality Gone Wild. She has her Monday night show, and we'll dive deeper into the concept of spirituality and her direct connection to source. So in my monologue yesterday, I talked about, well, I didn't talk about it. It was actually last Wednesday. I talked about it, where Spirituality Gone Wild has a couple of different themes, and one of them is that there are certain people who have a direct open line connection to the universe, to the quantum field, to source energy, and you know, they bring that special gift. And so she's going to bring that gift and share that with us on this coming Friday. Next week, I have guests lined up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll tell you who they are at the end of this broadcast. But for now, we'll just say that it's Thanksgiving week, but we are going to go ahead and hit it hard for Thanksgiving week. All righty. So today is Tuesday, and we all know what that means.
TV.
Brandon Schaefer is in the house.
What's going on, Steve? What's happening, my brother? I heard quantum physics or quantum reach, and I was like, I am in the right place. What was that word you just used? You were talking about quantum universe or something?
The quantum field. The quantum field.
Listen, I am in the quantum field right now as we speak.
Excellent.
What I want to share about today is really, and I talk about this because I think persistence wears down resistance, right? So we need to hear the same message in different tones by different people several different times before it actually sinks into our head. But what I'm talking about is keeping the foot on the gas. Like who is keeping you accountable? Are you keeping yourself accountable? Are you keeping your 5 closest friends to keep you accountable? What are you doing to keep applying pressure and keep achieving those goals that you set for yourself? The daily goals, the long-term goals, the monthly goals, the quarterly goals, the semi-annual goals. What are you doing? Right? Are these goals tangible? At the end of the day, can you go back and look and say, hey, listen, I got closer to this. And one thing I always ask myself is, am I moving closer to my goal with this activity, or am I moving further away? Right? You have to ask yourself that. Which way are you going? Are you supposed to be heading north, but unfortunately you're heading south? If so, that's the wrong direction. You got to get around people that are going to push you. You got to get around friends that are going to push you, that aren't going to put up with your lies, that aren't going to put up with fakeness, right? Get around people that are sincere. Get around people that are genuine. Get around people that are going to help put their foot on top of your foot and push the gas pedal harder. All right. So I know I'm all fired up today. I got a bunch of stuff going on, but listen, Steve, I know you get what I'm putting down here, man. This is serious, serious business, man. Get the fire in your belly. Like I am tuned up today. Get the fire in your gut, man. If it's not burning, get around people that are burning, man. It will be contagious, right? Smile wide. Energy creates energy. I always tell my family this. Energy creates energy. My wife says, I'm tired. I said, I'm wide awake. You know why? Because energy creates energy. Get up, do jumping jacks, do some burpees, do some push-ups. 10 seconds. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes 2-3 minutes to get your positive mindset right. And then once you're right, you can go out and help other people as well. So I don't want to take over the whole show here, Steve, but as you can tell, man, I am tuned up. I am inspired. That quantum, that as soon as I heard that quantum, I was like, woo! I started to go crazy.
It's really energy. It's energy, and the quantum is the energy that we connect with each other. So the quantum field is how we all are connected together, and we have the ability to put out the energy and to receive the energy. And learning to do that's not easy, but we can do it. You just got to concentrate, and you got to find
100%, Stephen. Coming on this show and committing to do this every Tuesday for a few minutes. Listen, this commits by this, and I'll close with this is.
Thank you, Brandon, for coming on each and every week. We really appreciate that. It helps keep me going on Tuesdays. I love it. And if you need some help with your business, Simple Business Help is what Brandon and his team do, and they take your technology, whether it's Google Suite, your email system, connecting to your automation email marketer, or if you're using your website, whatever you need in terms of technology and connecting those different pieces of technology. That's what Simple Business Help does. They've got a whole list of basic services that they provide with prices on it. It's real reasonable. If you need any help, go to simplebusinesshelp.com, and Brandon and his team will help you out. And that's it. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us. We sure do appreciate that you come on each and every week and help out. So thank you again. All righty. Now let's go ahead and do a quick shift gears. Thank you, Bettina Ola. Yes, from Seattle. Bettina checking in this morning. Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to just go launch right into my monologue. And I don't know, this will take about 15 minutes, I expect. But what I'm going to talk about is a job that I had that really required that I be in the present moment. And as a result of that, I ended up learning how to stay in the present moment. And it was really the first time in my life that I really dug down deep and said, oh my gosh, I've got to be in the present moment. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. All other jobs, you had to be there present. You had to be doing it. But a lot of times you could be thinking of daydreaming about things and doing this and that. Well, this particular job didn't allow any time for daydreaming. I had to be 100% focused and present at all times. And that job that I'm talking about is when I was Forrest Gump for the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. Primarily, my main role was to sit on the bench and interact with people and to create a nice experience for the people who sat down with Forrest Gump. And what I learned is that if I wasn't 100% present, it didn't work. So what does it mean to be in the present? It's in the moment. And when those people were sitting with me, when that person was sitting with me, I had to be directly, connected to them and listening, actively listening. Of course, I was speaking, I was performing and entertaining, but I was asking them questions. Who are you? What is your name? Where are you from? And of course, whatever they said, I had some kind of a, Gumpism that I'd come back with, but listening and giving that to them, giving my attention, that was the gift that I ended up giving to people. And of course, they gave me the gift of being present with me. They loved the character. They felt, special, some kind of specialness that happened. So anyway, I realized, that as I sat there, if I was to like kind of lose my train of thought and start thinking about, what's going to happen next week? I just said, it doesn't matter. What was I going to even eat for dinner in a couple of hours? So I started thinking about that. Then I wasn't, being present with that person. I was thinking about something else. And so I had to learn to, catch myself having thoughts about the future and turn them off and return back to the present moment. Same thing, with if I was sitting, thinking about something that happened last week, maybe I'm thinking about some kind of I was out at a store and I had some kind of a, conversation with some salesperson and if I started to think about that and kind of plan some project that I had, then I wasn't being present with that person. Or if I was thinking about maybe a conversation I had with a family member, then I wasn't being present with that person. So, again, I had to catch myself when I was having thoughts of the past and turn those off and return to the present moment. And today, I have a lot more awareness of this kind of conversation and this language. But back then I was just really going, kind of by instinct or kind of by wait a minute, if I'm paying attention to that, it isn't working. And so, that job really, kind of helped me learn to just stay in the present moment. I'm going to say, if I could say it forced me to do it, but nobody forced me. It was really a choice. Now I noticed that if I was fully present with the person, I was having more fun. I also noticed that if I was having more fun, then the person sitting me with was having more fun. And again, this didn't it wasn't just like a switch that went on. It was sort of like, I had 1,000 interactions a day. And I did it 3 days a week. So I had, several thousand interactions every weekend. And these interactions only lasted, anywhere from, 15 to, 30, maybe 45 seconds long. So they were quick. They were lots of in and out kind of conversations. It was a busy tourist location that I sat at. So people were coming and going and they were lined up. So anyway, but I noticed that if I was having fun, then the other person was having fun. And so, it was okay. Now if the guest wasn't having fun, then what the heck was I doing there? And again, that thought occurred to me, and I thought, gee, if the guest isn't having fun and I'm not having fun, then what am I doing? I mean, I'm collecting a paycheck and I'm wasting time, and I might get fired. I mean, these were the kind of thoughts that I had. I thought, how do I keep this? How do I keep this momentum going? So anyway, it was really just a matter of like survival, I guess, on the first level where I went, oh my gosh, I got to learn how to be in the present moment. But, as I kind of, thought about it, was like, oh no, fun. And I don't want it to become boring for me, because then ultimately boring becomes like a drudgery. And, and again, I would have never lasted. I mean, I would have been fired. It wouldn't have worked. People wouldn't have been having fun. People wouldn't have continued to come around, and the shrimp restaurant wouldn't have paid me any longer. So anyway, once that light bulb went on and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have fun with this thing. I was like, well, how do I stay in that moment? How do I, how do I show up and be in the moment from the moment I, walk out and sit on the bench until the time that I get up and leave? How do I just learn to stay there, discipline myself to do it? So I realized I needed to get better at being present. And, again, it was fun to be in that present moment. I had moments of pure joy as a result of this, where something would happen and it was unpredictable. And it would just be kind of over the top with like funny joy, laughter. Somebody said something, I said something, they said something back, and the person with me loved it. I loved it, and the people all standing around, they loved it. So there was all these, like, those moments were kind of rare. They only happened like maybe once or twice a day, or maybe not even quite that often. But when they happened, I mean, they were like magical moments that happened. And they only happened when I was in the moment. So anyway, how did I do this? How did I get to, well, I realized a couple things. The very first thing was like from a physical point of view, we showed the 4 quadrants the last few days, where we talked about the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual worlds, the quadrants. So anyway, the physical, it became, that was the first thing, and it's like I needed to be rested. I needed to show up like rested and ready to go. So I couldn't be out staying up late. I couldn't, I just needed to have a nice sleep. I needed to be nourished. I had to eat. I kind of developed a routine where I would wake up on the days that I was working. I'd have a nice breakfast. It wasn't something real heavy, but it was like something substantial to get myself going. And then I would have like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I'd take with me, and a handful of carrots, baby carrots, and and I had some water, a water bottle, and I would, as I drove to either Monterey or San Francisco, I'd end up, eating the sandwich kind of right before I got there, so that it like had the most effect on me. Like as I was getting close, I'd eat the sandwich, I'd eat the carrots. So I ended up with like kind of like re-nourishing myself, like within the hour of going out there, to work and perform with people. And then I also knew I needed to keep myself well hydrated. And so water was critical. I'd get a big glass of water, take it out with me, and I'd get it refilled 2 or 3 times during the day, just because I wanted to always, for my voice, it was good to keep going, soothe my, I was talking the whole time. And so soothing my vocal cords, but also just keeping my whole body nice and hydrated. So the rest and the nourishment, the food, and the hydration were from a physical point of view. Those were the critical things that I had to, that was like the first thing that, I realized that, gee, if I don't eat properly before I get there, it ain't going to happen. So, and I couldn't get there and, start eating a meal and, blah, blah, blah. It just didn't work. I had to have it all done in advance. All righty. Then the mental, over the years, especially those first few years, I would like go through and prepare and study in terms of how to be the character. And then, and that was like at the very, very beginning, how to be the character. But then as that part became easier, how to interact with people. And when I would be driving home, I would always think about certain interactions, and I would think about 2 different types of interactions. Ones that went very well, where there was something kind of magical and special happened. And I think about, well, what happened? What was the, what was said before, right before that special moment happened? And what was it that I had, how did I react to the person, and what did they react? And when they said this, what did I come back with and say? And so I ended up, forming all of these scripts that I would, go through, and like as I stumbled into some kind of a, new funny line, I would have the opportunity to perfect it, because I was, again, talking to a couple thousand people a weekend, and I could just practice it over and over and over again, and, get it to the point where, it became something that I had it, in my subconscious. I had it like memorized. I had, done that work. So there's always that preparation. Likewise, that was if something went really well. Now, likewise, if something didn't work, there was an interaction that kind of went haywire, and those happened. I would also want to know, well, what happened to that? Why did that happen? What was it that they said? What was it that I said that, and then they said, and how did it go wrong? So I was always like thinking about like, well, how do I make this better? How do I make the interactions work, nicer with people? Emotional, I was constantly reminding myself how lucky I was to have this great, awesome job being Forrest Gump, sitting on the bench, talking to people coming up, and they realized that I was an actor. I wasn't the real Forrest Gump. Some people thought I was the real Forrest Gump, but most people just no, it's an impersonator. He's an actor. But they had fun with it, and it was like I said, that pure joy moment. And so anyway, I always knew that, like, gee, this is a gift. And there was a little bit of guilt at the beginning about like, what did I do to deserve this? I just was, it's genetic luck. Genetic luck was my answer to it. Like, and then I realized that genetic luck, well, that's a gift. That's something my parents gave me. That's something that, just happened. Tom Hanks and I had a resemblance. That wasn't anything that I did. Now, what I did do was I prepared, I perfected it, and I, was willing to cut my hair like Forrest Gump cut his hair, and I was willing to, put myself out there in public. But the actual genetic luck part, that just happened, and so I knew that was a gift. So emotionally, I was always in a state of gratitude and appreciation for the fact that I was very fortunate. It was very lucky that I had this opportunity. All right, so that's the physical, just staying rested and nourished and hydrated. The mental, just being prepared, constantly like evaluating what worked, what didn't work, and why did it work and why didn't it work, and then making corrections and adjusting. And then the emotional part, living in a state of gratitude and appreciation for the fact that this was a unique opportunity that I alone had, and I wanted it to last. I wanted it to keep going. So the fourth quadrant is spirit. And I felt that connection. And I trusted that by being prepared physically, mentally, and emotionally, that spirit was I was, channeling. I was like, whether it was called channeling Forrest Gump or channeling to the quantum field or channeling to the universe or to God, something special was always happening. And I was aware of that. And I knew that had I prepared and was ready, physically, emotionally, and mentally, then, it would just all happen. And it did. It happened over and over and over again. So that was really kind of a very, very cool thing. So let's see, where are we here? Now, was I perfect at doing it? No. But it was pretty good, and the imperfections were, they were like kind of minor things, but like there was certain things that happened, and I became aware of those. And so, one of the things that would happen from time to time that would always be an indicator that I wasn't paying attention is the very first thing I did with everybody is I said, "What's your name?" And they would tell me. And then sometimes, like, I'd say, "What's your name?" And they say, "I just told you." And I go, "Oh my God," I felt like, oh, okay, Steve, you drifted off somewhere, get back into the present moment and pay attention, because, people want to know what their name. And then, I always would try to repeat their name 2 or 3 times during that, 30 seconds. Hi, my name is John. Hey, John, how you doing? Oh, John, it's great to miss you. Hey, John, great to see you. Come on back again sometime. Thanks for stopping by, John. See ya. And then the next person came and what's your name? And, it just kept going. So it was a lot of fun. Sometimes I would get distracted by, and this happened a lot at the beginning. So I would get distracted by an interaction that didn't work. And in the early days, I had interactions that didn't work. And when I say they didn't work, I was into a routine of like having a conversation and a flow. And that worked 99% of the time. But every once in a while, it didn't work. And when it didn't work, it would and again, this is the early days, it would frustrate me and I would get annoyed with the person because they weren't playing the game the way I wanted to play the game. And so, so Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about the idea that the gazelle is out in the wilds of Africa, and the lion comes running along and chases the gazelle, and and the gazelle's just sitting there calm or standing there calm, eating from the, grass and from the Serengeti, and the lion comes running along, and that gazelle just takes off and runs for its life, and then assuming it outruns the lion, and the lion gives up, and now the danger part is over. Then the gazelle within 15 minutes is calm, back to eating grass in the field, not worrying about the lion anymore, kind of keeping alert, see if there's any more lions, but not like going to the other gazelles. Did you see what happened? That lion chased me. It's forgotten. It's something that happens in the past. So I had these moments where, I had an interaction that went haywire. And when these interactions would go haywire, and they didn't, this is funny. They didn't respond the way I wanted them to respond. Then I got annoyed, and I was like that lion, or I was like the gazelle running for its life, because, I was all upset about, there was danger there. Now, when that first happened, it would take me, and so, I ended up getting a whole bunch of adrenaline pumped through my body, so it was like a, kind of that, flight or fright moment. And, you get yourself worked out. Now, I wasn't freaking out and, acting like a madman out there. I was still going through the motions, but like my body became like filled with adrenaline. And so I had to like calm myself down. And when that first started to happen, it might take me a half hour to fully get back into that present moment. So for that, that first 15 minutes, I'm still like, I got all this adrenaline running through my veins, and I'm not feeling good, and I'm talking to people, but I'm like, that person didn't play the game the way I wanted it to be played. And so anyway, in about 30 minutes, I could calm myself down. Again, that was the beginning. And then after a while, I had gotten to the point where I could calm myself down in about 15 minutes. And then, you fast forward, weeks or months or whatever it was, I could calm myself down in about 5 minutes. And then it kind of got to the point where like it would happen, and I could almost put it behind me instantly, not 100%. So what was going on there? Now I'm thinking out loud, maybe I wasn't getting as triggered, and so there wasn't as much adrenaline, or maybe I wasn't, replaying it, or maybe I was just like learning to go, okay, that happened, and now let's move on. Let's go back to that present moment. So this was really kind of something that I sort of realized was happening at the time. It wasn't, it was like it was happening on a subconscious level, or I think more than a conscious level, because again, I didn't have the same tools to talk about those things then, that I do now. I can look back on it, and, I can look back and go, oh, this is what was going on. So anyway, fast forward, again to a couple of, like the next phase was that I could see those people who were the troublemakers. And I shouldn't even use that term. The people who wanted to, let's do it this way. I could see people who wanted to play the game differently than I wanted to play it, and I could kind of spot them a mile away, and I could adjust myself so that I could just play the game the way they wanted to play. And so we never ended up having those crazy moments. So I was really learning how to be in the moment, because my previous in the moment was just sort of an entertaining thing, and now my new in the moment was to be able to interact with people who wanted to play differently than maybe I wanted to play. So I was like learning how to play differently all the time with new people. So that was a pretty cool thing that happened. Sometimes, so a long line would form, and I would get more focused on like getting the line moving than on the interacting with that person. And so the interaction with the person became kind of forced, because I wanted to get the line, because it was like a big, it's like crazy. It was like a busy place down in Monterey or San Francisco. And so anyway, that was another indicator that I wasn't staying fully in the moment. I was like, trying to, expedite the moment or keep it. In the end, moving to another idea, in the end, when I started in 1996, there was no cell phones. There was car phones, I think, but there was no cell phones. And so everybody didn't have one in their pocket. So anyway, by the mid 2000s, late 2000s, then, smartphones came along and so everybody had their cell phone. So at the end, the last couple of years, I knew I would find myself sneaking a peek at the phone. And that was obviously not a way of staying present. That was, I was fortunate that there were no cell phones when I was trying to learn how to start this, because I don't know if I would have ever done as well. Anyway, cell phones are one of those things that kind of keep us away from being in the present. We're present with our phone, but we're not present with the people who are with us. So, and then the last thing I had was that there was a time in the early couple of years where I would drink alcohol during my shift. And, that was obviously something that I said, well, I kept myself looser, or on the cold weather days, it was something that would, help me stay warm. That was all just kind of nonsensical excuses that I made up for pure or for bad behavior or for bad habits and bad, sloppy thinking. And so fortunately I gave that all up. I've not had, I've been alcohol free for 4 years. And so anyway, and the part of doing that lasted again at the beginning couple of years, but not necessarily at the, I realized somewhere along the line that was not healthy for that. Alrighty, now focus, concentration, pushing out thoughts of the past or the future, always bringing yourself back to the present. Today, I understand that as consciousness. So when we catch ourselves with, where we're focusing on the future, or we catch ourselves where we're, repeating something from the past. Oh, why did I do that? You stupid dummy. Why did you do this or that? Those are not necessarily very healthy things. Now, yes, you need to learn from your mistakes, but if you're just going to keep beating yourself up, that's not healthy. So anyway, I now understand this is consciousness. This is like what it means to be, in the present moment. And so learning to pay attention. So you want to learn to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Learn to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. So our mind is always paying attention to something. Well, now we want to step back just a little bit and go, well, what are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to stuff that happened that's nothing you can do about it, and you've already learned the mistake, but you're repeating the thinking about it? Or is it like something that you're, fretting over in the future that really you don't have any control over? Yes, it's good to be prepared. Yes, it's, necessary to prepare, but, is it keeping you from being, present in the moment? So what happened was, when I was thinking about the future, I'd catch myself. And when I was thinking about the past, I'd catch myself. And the human brain functions at 5% conscious level and 95% subconscious. So in other words, we're on autopilot most of the time. So the way to make changes is to become conscious of become aware of the things that we're paying attention to. So pay attention to the stuff you're paying attention to. And then you can begin to, reprogram the subconscious mind. And that's what I ended up doing in many cases. So like when I was directing traffic, when I got caught in that moment where now I'm paying more attention to that line and keeping the line moving than the interacting with the people who were sitting with me on the bench. I was not giving them the gift of attention because my attention was somewhere else. Well, I kind of learned how to do that, to pay attention to the line in the subconscious mind, and direct traffic in the subconscious mind. And that only happened by experience and by retraining it, so you were aware of that, but that was like sort of working on autopilot. In the subconscious, we don't need to think about digesting our food. We don't need to think about driving the car that much. I mean, we're just, we're driving the car and we're thinking about all these other things. I was thinking about like the interactions that I had that worked well and the interactions I had that didn't work well on my way home after performing in Monterey or San Francisco. I had, an hour or an hour and a half drive. And so I had plenty of time to think about it. I wasn't like actively thinking about driving the car. That was that subconscious mind that was going on there. So the subconscious mind is is a good thing, allows us to do many more things. But it's also one of those things that if we don't have it doing the types of things we want, like worry, like if the subconscious is worrying about the past or the future, then that's not necessarily helpful. All righty. So today, let's go come up. How are we doing on time? Oh, 37. My gosh, I'm bobbing. All righty. I got probably about 5 or 10 more minutes to go here. So now I've been doing the show. Today's show number 71, and every day at 10 o'clock from 10 to 11, I go live, and I need to be ready to. I need to be ready to go, and so I have to be present during this time. So during from 10 to 11, I'm not thinking about the past, or I'm not thinking about the future. I'm just concerned with, what is the monologue that I'm sharing for today? Who is the guest that's coming on? And then, what is the conversation I'm having with the guest? Not even worried about it. I know who the guest coming on is. So I'm worried about what's my monologue's going to be, and then making sure that the guests get brought in properly and making sure that we have the conversation. Now, in preparation for that, a lot of things have had to happen. So I have to arrange, when I'm not, doing the show from 10 to 11, I'm arranging guests, preparing for the interview, understanding who the guest is, preparing my monologue, scheduling my show, promoting the show on social media, and all these things, have to happen at another time in order for me to show up, right here from 10 to 11. All right, that's cool. Everybody gets that. So then the question I ask myself is, am I doing those other things in the moment? Like, this is in the moment. Okay, I got that. But what about like when I'm busy during the day, reaching out to people, scheduling interviews, doing some kind of a pre-interview with them? Those are the kind of things that all happen, and I need to be. Am I being present in the moment when those things are happening? And of course, that's the goal, and that's what we want to do. So, all right. So then the question really is about, what about you? How are you when you're at work? Are you thinking about your family? Or when you're at work or when you're at home, are you thinking about work? And so how do we learn how to be present, wherever we are, whether it's at home with the family, with the kids, with your significant other, or whether you're at work, and of course things come up and you can't control all of your thoughts and thinking, but are you mostly staying in the moment? So when you're at work, you're focusing on that. And when you're at home, you're focusing on that. And when you're out, on the golf course, you're focusing on that. And when you're, whatever it is, the ever activities you do, when you're taking a hike in the woods, when you're, out raking leaves, whatever you like to do, are you enjoying it and being present and having fun? There's back to that having fun part, fun only can happen in the moment, and fun and magical moments can only happen in the moment, and miracles can only happen in the moment. So then you need to take care of yourself, physically. Are you getting enough rest and nourishment and the proper hydration? And, are you taking care of yourself mentally, feeding your brain with healthy ideas and thoughts? Or, I turned off the TV a couple years ago, and, the news, it's poison. They just talk about the same kind of stuff. They're just picking fights all the time. It's not healthy for me to listen to that kind of stuff. I mean, a little tiny bit, kind of know what's going on, but then when it gets into the nonsensical, I can't take it any longer. So what are you reading? What are you feeding your brain? Motivational messages, listening to shows on Spirituality Gone Wild or other stations that are, like this. I mean, we have a lot of hosts here, co-creators who bring different things to the table. And so it's, for me, it's healthy to be part of it. And I hope for you, it's healthy to be part of it. Welcome. All right. And then, emotionally, how do you take care of yourself when that lion and gazelle thing happens, when you're the gazelle and you got to run for your life and you got to, protect yourself? Are you, repeating it over and over and over again, or are you just letting it go? In 15 minutes, you're back out there doing what you do. When you get upset with something, when it throws you off track, do you spend, an hour or 2 hours or a day or 3 days? Are you never letting it go? Is it something that happened 5 years ago and you're still talking about it? And it's like defining your personality to the point where, it defines who you are, some incident. And so those are the kind of things that I apologize there. Whoops. There we go. All righty. Now, let's see. What else are we at? Oh, boy. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. All righty. So I just, I was just saying that, like, that gazelle, the lion chases us. We get upset. How do you calm yourself back down? When I had those interactions, I kind of learned to, first it took a half hour to get calmed down. Then it took 15 minutes. Then it took 5 minutes. And then it got to the point where it only took a minute. And then finally got to the point where I could kind of see those things coming and just sort of, deflect them. And actually what happened was I learned how to be more flexible in the way I was interacting with people. And so, because I didn't want to be upset. I wanted to have fun all the time. Alrighty. So just to kind of summarize all this, I had a job that gave me the gift of figuring out how to stay present. I was Forrest Gump, and I chose to be present with people at all times when they were sitting on the bench. I loved that interaction because it was fun for me. It was fun for them, and magical moments happened and miracles happened when I was sitting there being in that present moment. It was the most fun thing that I had ever done in my life. And so anyway, that was kind of a very special thing. And yes, my job was unique, but was it unique? It was a job. And yes, I looked like a character that people recognized and wanted to sit with, and it was fun. And so in that regard, absolutely 100% unique. But all of our jobs are unique, and all of the things that we do, and our families are unique. And so if we can learn to be present with those in our job, wherever that is, whatever that is today, then and then same thing with whatever's going on with with other. So anyway, lots of good stuff happening that way. Life is more fun in the present moment. Life is more fun in the present moment. Moments of pure joy only occur in the present moments. I had those moments of pure joy. We don't ever have, pure joy looking at a photograph. We have nice memories, but pure joy happens in the moment, and miracles happen in the moment. So that's it. I was very fortunate. I'm very grateful. I'm very appreciative of that 15-year time period in my life. And, that's been over for 10 years. And so, this is now the present moment. And so I'm learning day in and day out how to have fun in this, with this, and have fun with the doing the preparation, and have fun with the social media, and have fun with all the things that happen that need to happen in order for this to work. And so anyway, that's it. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Let's see. We have Nikki Roscoe. We're going to do a meditation tomorrow. We're going to talk about the art and the act of meditating. And then on Thursday, Jody Brown. She is the author of The Sun Still Shines. The Sun Still Shines. And she really is a living example of someone who's had to dig deep to have courage. And then Friday, Kristen Osley, our own Kristen O from the Kristen O Show. And she will be, she has a direct connection to spirit, and we'll be talking about spirituality, and maybe she'll do a reading with me. And then 3 guests lined up next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Plan to go live Monday. Maybe I'll even do a show on Thanksgiving. Life's like a box of chocolates. You never know. Maybe Thanksgiving will be a day that I do a show here. So anyway, gosh, I talked for 45 minutes. Anyway, I learned something today in terms of how long I had planned to talk and versus how long I did. So 25 minutes was an underestimate that way. So I will make an adjustment as I figure these things out going forward. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Tuesday. We will see you tomorrow morning.